The air in our suburban Columbus home always felt comfortable, predictable. Maybe that was the problem. I'm Leif, 43, an IT specialist. I wasn't looking for fireworks, just contentment with Astrid, my wife of 15 years. We had built a life together, a good one, or so I thought. The first flicker of unease came subtly. Astrid, usually an open book, started guarding her phone like it held national secrets. Late-night texts, hushed phone calls taken in the hallway, a password suddenly appearing on her previously unlocked device, red flags, I now realize, waving frantically in my face. At the time, I brushed it off. She worked as a marketing manager and was probably working late. I trusted her, or more accurately, I wanted to trust her. Then came the conference. A marketing summit in Atlanta, she said. For days, all expenses paid by her company. It seemed legitimate. She showed me the itinerary, the speaker list, even the hotel confirmation. I helped her pack, teasing her about bringing back souvenirs. I drove her to the airport, kissed her goodbye, and told her I'd miss her. That's the thing about betrayal, isn't it? It wears a mask of normalcy. It hides in plain sight, disguised as everyday life. For 4 days, I lived in that disguise. I cooked my own meals, watched the sports games she usually feigned interest in, and went to bed in our king-sized bed. It felt empty without her, but I told myself it was just temporary. On the third day, a seed of doubt, previously dormant, began to sprout. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. Astrid had been unusually distant in our brief nightly calls. Her voice sounded strained, her answers vague. I tried to chalk it up to the stress of the conference, but the feeling persisted, a nagging itch I couldn't scratch. That evening, scrolling through social media, I saw a post from one of Astrid's colleagues, a woman named Scene. It was a picture of the Atlanta skyline, captioned, "Enjoying the marketing summit with the best team." I clicked through the comments, half expecting to see Astrid's name. It wasn't there, but what I did see stopped my heart cold. Another comment from a mutual friend, a woman named Eldred, read, "Atlanta looks amazing, wish I could be there. Say hi to Astrid for me." Scene replied, "Will do. She's having a drink at the bar right now." A drink at the bar. Astrid had told me the conference schedule was packed from morning till night. There was no time for socializing, she had said. And why hadn't Astrid posted any pictures herself? She was usually glued to her phone, documenting every aspect of her life. The seed of doubt had become a monstrous vine, choking the life out of my trust. I tried to reason with myself. Maybe Scene was mistaken. Maybe Astrid had stepped away for a moment. But the feeling wouldn't go away. It gnawed at me, a relentless voice whispering, "Something is wrong." That night, sleep eluded me. I tossed and turned, replaying the conversations, the missed signals, the subtle changes in Astrid's behavior. By morning, I was a mess of anxiety and suspicion. I knew I couldn't ignore it any longer. I had to know the truth. I called Astrid's company, pretending to be a courier trying to deliver an important package. I asked for her room number at the hotel. The receptionist, without hesitation, gave it to me. Room 312. I booked the first flight to Atlanta. I didn't pack a bag. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I just needed to know. I needed to see for myself. The flight was a blur. I sat in silence, staring out the window, my mind racing. What if I was wrong? What if Astrid was truly at the conference, working hard, and I was just being paranoid? The thought offered a brief respite, a tiny flicker of hope in the darkness. But deep down, I knew something was terribly wrong. I arrived in Atlanta late in the afternoon. The hotel was a sprawling glass tower in the heart of downtown. I walked through the lobby, trying to appear nonchalant, my heart pounding in my chest. I took the elevator to the 3rd floor and walked down the hallway, each step heavier than the last. Room 312. I stood outside the door, my hand trembling as I raised it to knock. I hesitated. What if I was making a mistake? What if I was about to destroy my marriage based on a hunch? But the nagging feeling, the relentless voice, wouldn't let me back down. I knocked. The door opened a crack. A man's voice, unfamiliar, said, "Who is it?" My blood ran cold. I pushed the door open, stepping into the room. Astrid was there. She was wearing a silk robe, her hair disheveled. Her face was a mask of shock and horror, and standing behind her, buttoning his shirt, was a man I vaguely recognized. He was a colleague of Astrid's, a younger guy named Torstein, whom she had mentioned a few times in passing. Time seemed to stop. The air thickened, heavy with unspoken words and shattered trust. Leif, Astrid stammered, her voice barely a whisper. What are you doing here? I didn't answer. I just stared at them, my mind struggling to process what I was seeing. The hotel room, the rumpled bed, the look of guilt on their faces, it was all too clear. I can explain, Astrid said, taking a step towards me. Explain, I said, my voice flat. Explain what? Explain why you're in a hotel room with another man while you're supposed to be at a conference. Explain why you lied to me for the past 4 days. She started to cry. It's not what you think, she said, her voice trembling. Oh, really? I said, my anger starting to boil. Then tell me, Astrid, tell me what it is. She didn't answer. She just stood there, tears streaming down her face, her silence speaking volumes. Thorstein stepped forward. Look, Leif, he said, this is a misunderstanding. I turned to him, my eyes narrowed. A misunderstanding, I said. Is that what you call sleeping with my wife? A misunderstanding, he flinched. It just happened, he said, his voice barely audible. It just happened, I repeated, my voice rising. You just happened to find yourself in a hotel room with my wife in bed with your clothes off. Is that what you're telling me? He didn't answer. He looked down at the floor, shamefaced. I turned back to Astrid. How long? I asked, my voice shaking. How long has this been going on? She hesitated. A few weeks, she mumbled, a few weeks. The words hit me like a physical blow. A few weeks of lies, of deceit, of betrayal. A few weeks of me thinking everything was fine while she was sneaking around behind my back. A few weeks, I said, my voice filled with disbelief. And you expected me to just accept that, to forgive you. To pretend like nothing happened. I don't know what I expected, she said, her voice choked with sobs. I messed up. That was her excuse. She had messed up. She had betrayed my trust, shattered my heart, and ruined our marriage, and all she could say was that she had messed up. I couldn't stand to look at her any longer. I turned and walked out of the room, leaving her standing there with her lover, the tears streaming down her face. I went back to the airport and caught the first flight home. I didn't say a word to anyone. I just sat there, staring blankly ahead, my mind numb with shock and pain. When I got home, I went straight to our bedroom and started packing my things. Astrid arrived a few hours later, her face pale and drawn. Leif, please, she said, her voice pleading. Let's talk about this. We can work through this. Work through this, I said, my voice cold. There's nothing to work through, Astrid. You cheated on me. You lied to me. You betrayed my trust. It's over. But what about us? She said, her voice breaking. What about our life together? What about our memories? Our memories, I said, my voice filled with bitterness. Our memories are tainted, Astrid. Every happy moment, every loving gesture, every promise we made, it's all been poisoned by your betrayal. I know I messed up, she said, but I still love you, Leif. I swear I do. Love, I said, my voice laced with sarcasm. If that's your definition of love, Astrid, then I want no part of it. I finished packing my things and walked out of the house, leaving her standing there, alone with her regret. The divorce was quick and painless. Astrid didn't fight it. She knew she was in the wrong. I moved into a small apartment downtown and started the process of rebuilding my life. It wasn't easy. The pain of betrayal lingered, a constant ache in my heart. I struggled to trust people. I struggled to believe in love again. But I refused to let Astrid's actions define me. I refused to let her steal my happiness. I focused on my work. I reconnected with old friends. I started exercising. Slowly, gradually, I began to heal. A few months after the divorce, I ran into Astrid's colleague at a coffee shop. We exchanged awkward greetings, and then she said, Leif, I'm so sorry about what happened with Astrid. Thank you, I said, my voice polite but distant. I knew about the affair, she said, her voice low. I tried to warn her. I told her she was making a mistake, but she wouldn't listen. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice tinged with anger. I was afraid, she said. Astrid is persuasive. She made me promise not to say anything. I regret it now. She hesitated, then reached into her purse and pulled out a small USB drive. I have something for you, she said. It's emails between Astrid and Thorstein. I took the USB drive, my heart pounding in my chest. What's on them? I asked. Everything, she said. The whole story. From the beginning. I went home and plugged the USB drive into my computer. I spent the next few hours reading the emails, my anger growing with each line. The emails revealed a much deeper and more disturbing story than I had imagined. The affair had started months before the conference, not just a few weeks. Astrid and Thorstein had been planning to leave me for months. They had even discussed how to divide our assets, how to manipulate me into giving them what they wanted. But the most shocking revelation was that Astrid had been using me. She had been using my success, my stability, my love to further her own career. She had seen me as nothing more than a stepping stone, a means to an end. The anger I felt was overwhelming. I wanted to confront her, to scream at her, to make her pay for what she had done. But I knew that wouldn't accomplish anything. It would just give her the satisfaction of knowing she had gotten to me. Instead, I decided to use the emails to my advantage. I contacted a lawyer and showed him the evidence. He was shocked and disgusted. "This is enough to reopen the divorce settlement," he said. "We can get you a much better deal." We went back to court, armed with the emails. Astrid's lawyer tried to argue that the evidence was irrelevant, but the judge wouldn't hear it. He ruled in my favor, granting me a much larger share of our assets. Astrid was furious. She accused me of being vindictive, of trying to ruin her life. But I didn't care. I had finally gotten justice. I had finally held her accountable for her actions. But the story doesn't end there. A few months later, I received a phone call from Torstein's wife, a woman named Ingeborg. She had found out about the affair and was devastated. "I wanted to thank you," she said, her voice trembling, "for exposing Astrid and Torstein. You saved me from years of heartache." I felt a pang of sympathy for her. I knew exactly what she was going through. "I'm sorry for what happened to you," I said. "You didn't deserve it, neither did you," she said. "But I wanted you to know that I'm leaving him. I'm filing for divorce." A few weeks later, I heard that Astrid and Torstein had broken up. Their affair had imploded under the weight of guilt and betrayal. Astrid had lost her job, her friends, and her reputation. She was alone and miserable. I didn't feel any satisfaction in her downfall. I didn't revel in her misery. I just felt empty. I had gotten my revenge. I had gotten justice. But it didn't bring me any joy. It didn't fill the void in my heart. I realized that revenge wasn't the answer. It didn't heal the wounds. It didn't bring back the trust. It just left me feeling hollow and empty. So I decided to let it go. I decided to forgive Astrid, not for her sake, but for my own. I decided to move on with my life and focus on the future. It wasn't easy. It took time, but eventually I found peace. I found happiness again. I found love again, and I learned a valuable lesson: that betrayal can break you, but it can also make you stronger. It can teach you who you are and what you're capable of. It can force you to let go of the past and embrace the future. Looking back, I don't regret anything. I don't regret confronting Astrid. I don't regret getting a divorce. I don't even regret seeking revenge, because all of those things led me to where I am today, a stronger, wiser, and happier man. A man who has learned from his mistakes and is ready to embrace whatever the future holds. The comfort and predictability I once craved. I realized those were just synonyms for stagnation. Astrid's betrayal, as painful as it was, forced me out of my comfort zone and into a life that, while less predictable, is infinitely more fulfilling. I travel now, something Astrid never wanted to do. I've taken up photography, capturing moments of beauty I might have missed before. I even started dating again, cautiously optimistic about finding someone who values honesty and mutual respect. I sometimes wonder what Astrid is doing. I don't hate her, but I don't miss her either. She made her choices, and I made mine. I chose to heal, to grow, and to move on. And that, I believe, is the greatest revenge of all. The experience taught me that while you can't control the actions of others, you can control your reaction to them. Astrid's betrayal was a devastating blow, but it didn't define me. It refined me. It forced me to confront my vulnerabilities and discover my strengths. And in the end, I emerged stronger and more resilient than ever before. I hope my story serves as a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is always hope for a brighter future. Betrayal can be a catalyst for change, a wake-up call that forces you to reevaluate your life and pursue your dreams. Don't let the pain of the past hold you back. Embrace the present, look forward to the future, and never give up on yourself. My journey through betrayal, heartbreak, and eventual triumph serves as a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. It's a reminder that even when trust is shattered and love seems lost, it is possible to heal, to grow, and to find happiness again. And perhaps most importantly, it's a reminder that true strength lies not in seeking revenge, but in choosing forgiveness and moving forward with grace and courage. Leif signing off. Remember, your worth is not determined by the actions of others. You are capable of overcoming any obstacle and you deserve to be happy. Never forget that.